Welcome to the Sacred Feminine Power podcast, where we explore the many facets of feminine power and why it is so important for women and for men to step into this power in our world at this time. This is Emmy from Feminine Revered, and I am so very excited and so very honored to bring back onto the show Coco Oya Sienna Ray. Coco, the author of Digging for Mother's Bones from Womancraft Publishing, is a UK-based creative mystic, soul guide, and writer. Her creativity is informed by her journey as a devotee of the Tantric path, an embodied path of self liberation, and being a channel for the divine feminine. Deeply sensitive and highly empathic, she can be found weaving her intuitive gifts at creativelycoco.com. So, Coco is returning to the podcast, and I am so very excited to have her back. I absolutely adore Coco's work, and just listening to her words and her wisdom is in and of itself a gift. So let's see where our conversation takes us today. Welcome, welcome, Coco. So good to have you back.
Thank you, Emmy. I am so delighted to be back. I always think our conversations are so juicy when we get together, so I'm excited to see what comes through.
Me too. Absolutely. Well, you have been on the podcast before, as I said, and you have answered the questions that I always tend to ask my guests in the beginning. But I know that things have changed for you in a big, big way since the last time we spoke.
Mm.
So I would love to hear your current take on the question, what does sacred feminine power mean to you?
It's the clarion call for women now to step into their sacred being. Um, so much has shifted, as you said, from the last time that I was on here. I don't think I was fully aware of the true embodiment of what feminine power is, but we are so connected to Earth as women. I don't think we understand the fullness, not in the way where we are here to just connect with Earth as a beautiful thing. It is our nature to connect with the essence of Earth to bring through the new matrix of the world. And really feeling that in my being as I co-create and collaborate with Earth is the next iteration for women. It's not just here to um, put whatever we need into the earth and take from the earth. We are actually in co-creation of bringing through the full mother matrix that is being asked to be birthed on the planet. And women have a particular part to play because we have wombs and we are bringing in the wisdom from the cosmic womb to initiate into the ground, and the ground is rising for us to bring that through our bodies as the activators, as the ones that are bringing forward the new matrix. So to be in our feminine power is to remember that our bodies are the vessels that are doing this work. And I know it's having a lot of impact on women's um their actual biology at this moment, and they might not understand why that is, but it's because we are being asked to plug into the new earth matrix, not as um a bystander, but as the actual vessel that is imprinting it on the planet. And that to me is true feminine wisdom, that we remember that our bodies are the living technology that is bringing this shift into being.
Goosebumps all over listening to you there. Yeah, absolutely. I am so resonating with everything that you're sharing there, Coco. And yeah, I love how you said that the matrix or the blueprint of the new earth, of this new matrix that we're entering into and birthing, very consciously birthing at the same time, is already there. It's on the earth. It's probably always been there, and we're remembering it and reclaiming it, and how it is through our bodies that we bring through the codes
Mhm.
and indeed do that rebirthing. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah. As you said, that matrix, it has always been there. The mother's just been obscured, just as the language of the feminine form has been obscured and overlaid with so many like outdated and corrupted ways of being. And so for women to get back into their bodies. This is the remembrance. This is the remembrance that we are being called to not only remember what it is, but as we do that, we move out of the way all the distortions that have been overlaid on the physical body of the womb. We've known for like centuries that the language that is used for the feminine body, in particular the womb, as being quite derogatory.
Yeah.
Um, but it is the vessel, it is the point of our vessel that is the seat of our power and brings through the higher wisdom and brings through um, coding from other realms in the whole universe. We are the universe incarnate.
Mm. Yeah.
That's just who it is.
Yes, so very true. And I love your emphasis on the body because indeed, there's kind of been a couple of different paradigms around that. One is the derogatory one, where women's bodies, especially, have been objectified and
Mhm,
turned into these objects of the male gaze. And the most sacred parts of our bodies, our sexual organs, our breasts, have really been turned into these objects
mhm,
of pornography and so on. So it's quite a vile agenda in so many ways. And
mhm,
at the same time, through so many religions, we've also been taught to disconnect from the body and be in the
mhm,
mind and connect upwards all the time. And yet, whilst Mama Earth is ascending and humanity is ascending with her as well, as long as we choose to do that, we actually need to descend into our bodies, into our wombs
mhm,
first to be able
mhm.
to birth those codes that you were talking about
Yeah.
and really embody them and not just birth them, but learn how to work with them, learn
Mhm,
how to act with them so that
mhm.
you is birthed.
Yeah. Because as you said, masculine spirituality is not designed for the feminine form. It's all about consciousness, and the body is the vessel, and it is the way forward for women to really come into their full feminine power. There is no other way around it. We can want to analyze, we can want to um, go round in our minds around our stories and around trying to clear the beliefs. But trust me, I have been on this path for a very long time, and the way to get through all that layers of the outdated beliefs is simply to be in the body, to connect to the womb. She has a living, breathing technology of her own, and she will inform you how to be a radiant woman from that space to activate the luminosity of your being. And once you connect into that, it does the work for you, as in it sends out signals and clears the way forward. And I always believe that it's one of the main reasons why it's being so targeted, because the richness and the potency of its power has always been known.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, the the patterning that has been placed upon it has caused such disconnect. And this is like a full clarion call to bring it back into its true alignment. And I thought I was doing womb work before, as in I did a lot of processing through my womb, because I think one of the wounds that you talk about as women is the womb wound, and so there is a lot of clearing to do around that as women. But there comes a point where we just have to remember that it is our center of power and our radiant being. And one of the visions I got around that a few months ago was that um, to call some of the women that are here to be solar women, solar feminine, to disconnect from the moon. Some of us on the planet were never meant to connect to the moon. We are here to be radiant solar beings who bring the wisdom forward from the cosmic womb that radiates through the sun, which is bringing forward new intel to activate the feminine body, which again radiates into the earth and then brings the coding back alive in our bodies. And so at the beginning of next month in May, I am doing a call around the mother codes and disconnecting from the moon, so that we can step into our full radiant being. I'm still processing the downloads that are coming for that. So I'm intrigued what's to come through. But for your listeners, if it's after the 3rd of May, the call will have been taken place, but they can still have access to it and tap into the wisdom around that. Because what surprised me was it was such a clear vision that I had. And I just wrote a simple little post on Facebook that said, I saw visions of thousands of women disconnecting from the moon and plugging into the new Earth matrix. And I was so surprised that so many women had felt that call too. They didn't understand what was happening, but they could feel the rumbling from the earth calling them to disconnect and to connect into that deeper, um, like you said, the blueprint that is rising. That's always been here, but it is like the call has got louder for women. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what comes from that.
I love these downloads that you're receiving around that. And yeah, there has been so much discussion around how the energy and the vibration of the moon has been or have been hijacked in so many ways, and how
Mhm.
I'm not going to go into that whole discourse right
Yeah,
now, but
exactly. Yeah,
I mean, the point is
yeah,
that we are on the earth and we
yeah.
need to be connecting with her,
It's
her
time to do
body.
that. It's
Yeah.
time. Yeah, exactly. We are here to connect with Mama Earth. There's no getting around that, to come in and to go down.
Mm.
And that's just the call.
Yeah, and I think that is also a huge part of Mother Earth's ascension process herself. I think it is part of that journey that she's going through. And I think it is her herself who is calling women like you to
Hmm.
really start to
Yeah.
bring through this wisdom and to
Hmm.
speak about that wisdom openly, because
Hmm.
obviously there could be a lot of backlash. There could be a lot of people arguing
Hmm.
against that and
Yeah.
criticizing that. But regardless of all of that, just
Hmm.
truth to that. And
Yeah. No, absolutely. And this is the thing. It's like this truth that is resonating through me is so crystal clear. And I feel the energetics of not just the feminine aspects of the earth, but the masculine aspects of the earth that are awakening now as Father Earth, the mycelium that is coming, plugging us in so deep. This thing around union that we've always wanted in our bodies as women, it is coming from the earth right now. This union between the feminine and masculine aspects of the earth that we are plugging into as women just activates the full radiant being of womanhood. It's so it's such an exquisite feeling because you just feel so plugged into life, and the gnosis that comes on board when we do that as women is just so astounding. And for a long time, I thought I was kind of losing my mind, literally, because I thought I had menopausal mind because a lot of the things were just being cleared out of my mind. And I was going fuzzy and I thought, oh, it's what people talk about. It's like you become forgetful. But the message I got is that as I'm moving through this process, especially as a menopausal woman, um, everything gets cleared out of the way so that we can plug into the true nurses because we are no longer clearing in cycles. We're here to radiate and be the elders and bring through the wisdom. And we don't need minds full of stuff to do that. In fact, it's essential that we don't have minds full of stuff to do that. And so everything that I was taught about my body as I'm shifting through this perimenopausal phase has been rewritten since I've been plugging into the earth and activating my womb in that essence. Um, like you said, um, the wisdom is just clear, is just clear and very pronounced and just comes through with such clarity that there is no questioning around that. I don't debate with it and I don't ask others to debate with it either. There's nothing to say. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's as clear as that. And you won't always know what it means, but you just know that you know.
Hmm. Oh, I love that. Yeah, thank you for stepping so fully into that role of a channel of Justice Hollow Bone who's bringing through that wisdom from Mother Earth and then having the courage to speak to it as well. That's really beautiful. We've been talking about our bodies, women's bodies specifically. We've been talking about Mother Earth as the body from which we have all been birthed as well, of which we are innately not just connected to, but we are her. She's within us. And your recent book, Digging for Mother's Bones, which is going to be
Mm,
coming out soon, is very much about bringing back that forgotten feminine, those bones that have been buried deep into the earth because of the power that we carry, because of
mm,
all the fear that that was bringing through in men within a toxic patriarchal context. So let's talk a little bit more about your
yeah.
book, Coco. I was very honored to read
Mm,
that book
mm,
um, when it was just birthed and to write a testimonial for it or a review
mm,
for it. And it is just such a beautifully written, I was going to say story because you are sharing your own story in it,
mm,
but it's much more than that.
mm,
It is a recollection, it is a reconnection, it is a reclaiming of so much and
mm,
brings through so much medicine into these times of change. So talk to us a little bit more
mm.
about the book. What was the inspiration behind it?
Oh my goodness. You know, when you do a thing and you don't really realize it's going to be a big thing, but you just follow the breadcrumbs because that book started out just as journal entries. I was going through my own process of healing my mother wound and really understanding the story of my mother and myself and um, why we'd ended up being the way that we were, women who were very submissive and grew up in a lot of violence and patriarchal overruling and kind of like let go of our power, basically. And I learned to do that myself from my own mother. So it was a lot of journal entries and processing around what made women give their power away? What happened? And in the book, I talk about the fact that I got to such a point with feeling powerless that I wanted to take my own life, and the mother stepped in when I crossed over and taught me about the beginnings of life, coming from the cosmic womb and how it had been overlaid with this patriarchal understanding of a father God and all the distortions that had taken place that filtered down through time, through women's bodies, that we began to um, let go of our power and men began to embrace power in such a warped way, or let's say the masculine, because that was birth within men and women. It wasn't just man versus woman.
Mm,
And so it's a book around that collective story on a deeper level, around how we actually got there and how we can mend the matriarchal lineage in all of us, but particularly women, because we feel it's stronger. And so the book is interweaved with my own personal story, but then the channeling that came through when I crossed over on my near-death experience and the connection that happened between me and mother and the love that was infused through her and the I had to tell this story. I always say this book rewrote wrote me because it really helped me understand how hungry we've been for the mother essence and how it's always been there, but it's been covered over, and how patriarchy came into be such a strong driving force. And I'm so grateful to the women that read it in its infancy and did the endorsements, you like you said, being one of them, and then me recognizing through that, oh wow, this is a really powerful book. Because I think when something comes through you, sometimes I can't remember even what I wrote because it was being channeled through me. A lot of it was being channeled through me. And so it's only in the last few months, knowing that it's coming out in June officially, but the pre-orders are out now. People can pre-order it now. That it was like looking at it and open it like an oracle and realizing that on every single page there is wisdom and a deeper truth to be had. And yeah, I said to my daughter the other day, I went, God damn, this book is so good. It is so good. It is so good. Oh my God, I know I'm blowing my own truth, but it is a really good book because it is so succinct around bringing us back into the body. We spoke about the body a lot, but there are so many exercises and wisdom in that about how to come home to our feminine wisdom, the feminine truth, that it is an embodied sense of being, and that it will never be found through the mind. It was never meant to be found through the mind. We were never meant to be disconnected from the body in this way. We were never meant to be striving outward all the time. We are being called to rest back into the true essence of our being, whether you are a male or female or anything else in between. It is all about the body, and our sensitivity is key too. It is the way we were meant to be initially, but we've become so desensitized and so disconnected from our true nature and the essence of nature that the clarion call and the distortions have got so loud that it's just time now that we surrender into this deeper knowing that the body is key. And there are some of us that have gone through the gauntlet to bring this wisdom into being. One of the first exercises in the book is around um, death, as in dying to the old ways, because the old ways are dying, the old earth is dying, and so are the illusions that we were taught what it is to be human.
Mm.
We were never meant to be in deep suffering and sorrow like we are. We are radiant beings, and we have the seed of the cosmic and earthly light living in us as eternal flames. It's just been dimmed and corrupted because it's the same on the same thread of the energies that brought us into being, i.e., our sensual, sexual energy,
Mm.
which, as we know on this planet, as you said before, has been so corrupted that women's bodies have become overtly sexualized to the point that where we no longer feel safe being in our bodies as women, being that radiant sensual self. And so the book talks a lot about how the origins of that teaching came about. Because as Emmy yourself mentioned, I am a devotee of the tantric path, and I speak about the true origins of tantra coming from a matriarchal lineage and from the motherland of Africa. When it was taken on its travels into the hills of India, it was hijacked and became what it is today, a masculine, like, um, yeah, philosophy. around sexuality, which is a lot of what got filtered then down into the Western world, into Neo Tantra. And it was never meant to be about that. It was about the synergy of connecting to the land. Um, that potent sexual nature that is in nature itself. We talk about nature as the birds and the bees, and we've made that in again into some crazy erotic thing, but it is just a symbiotic relationship between the pulse of life and the creatures living on the planet. If that's what Tantra is. To me, that's the simple point, and it is um, a radiant energy. It's our Kundalini, it's our life force. So when we tap into that in a way that is away from the distortions of sexual, um, the sexual story, we just feel radiant. We feel alive. We are connected to Earth, and we remember why we came here as souls. We remember our unique imprint because it's encoded here. We just have to plug it in and that's it. There is a spot for everyone on the planet. If you came here, there is a spot for you to plug into the earth and to reactivate your remembrance of why you're here.
Hmm. Yeah, so true. And I love that you've called your book Digging for Mother's Bones because it is in those very bones that our DNA lives. Is
Hmm.
our origin, and we are
Yeah,
resurrecting that. We're bringing that through now. So I
yeah,
really love the title of the
yeah.
in and of itself and
Thank
how
you.
you expand that into this whole beautiful sharing of your
Yeah.
journey and then this wisdom behind true Tantra, the original Tantra,
Mhm.
what it actually means.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I was an avid, when I say avid spiritual seeker, I saw, because I knew from being a young girl that what I saw here when I got here wasn't true. I didn't understand why are people relating the way they are. Why can't you speak truth? Why does it offend if you're loving? I was called so naive as a child, but I knew love was the answer. I always knew. And so I went on this long search, and then it was like I said, I just got to a point where just did not understand human nature. I thought, this is not, I want to go back home. And so when I was called, no, it's not your time. And it was like, wait a minute, it's always been inside me. It's always been in my bones. It's always been there. And it's as simple as, yes, remembering that it is in an inward journey. It is always there. It is encoded in us when we come. It just gets overlaid with this distortion. And when we remember the truth, the distortions have to leave. It's like that thing of um, two opposing forces can't be in the same like vicinity and be activated. It's like it's one or the other. So it's time just to choose the radiant self and the other to just leave. It's as simple as that. Yeah, the codes are all around us. They are in the earth. They've never gone. They are in our bodies. They are in our blood. They are in our being. And they're in the ethers, they're in the air. I call air now it's just the living waters of life. And the breath is just again such a poignant um activator of the remembrance because we are breathing in life force energy as again as a synergistic relationship between body and being. And when we relax into the body, again, it can't not switch on. This world has been designed in a way that takes us up into the mind. And everything that I write about is about just allowing ourselves to sense in the body.
Beautiful. Yeah, and as you're talking, I'm also just like really so very clearly seeing why there is such an effort on our in our world at the moment to number one, block or dim the sun. to
Mhm.
spray our skies with all kinds of chemicals that will
Mhm.
turn the air toxic.
Mhm.
It's why there's so much effort to pollute the
Yeah.
waters, to burn sacred lands, sacred forests, sacred trees.
Mhm.
It's so much bigger than we really truly
Mhm.
understand, and it is
Yeah.
about attacking our divinity, our
Mhm.
true divine essence.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. The sun is um a center of deep wisdom, and the cosmic womb sends that radiant through the sun
Mm,
to us to just absorb into our skin. And as you said, it has ramped up. Like they're blocking out the sun and they're putting stuff in the air because they know it's just the simple things,
mm,
such as the sun, the earth, there, that are the things that are activating us into our being. And so we could concentrate on that, but we can also remember that we have living technology in our bodies to heal,
yeah.
and to remember that our bodies innately want to heal itself. And again, we can get into the mind and think, oh, we are going to be, annihilated or poisoned or whatever. But when we speak to the body and say, okay, let's um, activate the codes of healing, it will do it. We need to remember that the body is key. I know I keep saying it, but it's just so important because it wants us to be in relationship with us. It wants us to hear what it's saying. And we can only do that when we drop out of the mind and begin to go in and hear what it's telling us. And so in the book, there are lots of practices around being present with the body, for women connecting to their womb, connecting to their pussy, connecting to their breasts, just connecting to these, like you said, these portals that have been overlaid with corrupted stories about what they're supposed to be. And then remembering that they are divine portals that bring in deeper wisdom. And so, yeah, I'm really just excited. And if people do the pre-order, there are some goodies that I'm pre-recording around. There's one about presence in the body. There's one, the death ritual. There's a pussy prayer and a womb blessing. And yeah, I'm just really excited for people to hear it, the words in my own voice, but also to see that it's really simple when you begin to connect to your own remembrance in your own body. Um, I'm astounded at what can be done in such a short period of time when people remember that they are sovereign beings and they have their own like divine intelligence running through their body all the time. They don't need to listen to anybody else. I don't see myself as a teacher, I see myself as a guide. So because I've been through the process and I'm sharing my story and my own experience, and I feel that the book is written in such a way that people can take from it what they need for themselves. I'm not telling anyone how to do anything. Everything is an invitation in that book. Um, and like I said, I'm rereading it myself now, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm doing the practices for myself because I've realized that it's like a manual, a manifesto. It's got something in, and like I said, I'm using it currently like an oracle where I go in, turn a page, and read, and then see, um, yeah, what wisdom is coming forward for that day.
Beautiful. And I love how you said that it can be very simple. We often
Mm.
overcomplicate things, and it really can be very, very simple. So I love that you're bringing through that message as well. We'll include the link to the pre-orders in the show notes to this episode. And Coco, what is the best place for people to go and find out more about you and the work that you do in the world?
Okay, so you can find me on my website, which is www.creativelycoco.com, or on Instagram and Facebook. The links are on They will be in the show notes, but you can find me easily by typing in Creatively Coco. That's my kind of tag. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Coco, anything else that's arising in this moment that you really feel should be shared with our audience before we wrap up?
Um, just that in the last few days, I felt an awakening. I had no idea that I was kind of under a little cloud over the last few months. And then in the last couple of days, something has shifted. And what it was is that I've been feeling the pulse of the earth in such a deeper way that I didn't understand what it was. And then somebody on Facebook spoke about the renaissance of Africa being liberated, the mother, and it just went bing through my body. And I wrote something and just went, ah, that's the boom, that boom, boom, boom that I've been feeling, but I didn't understand because I was releasing a lot around um enslavement and around being in a black body. And then when they wrote that, it was just such a clear thing of course, this is like the the last core thing that we need to look at and address as a collective, in that the motherland, Africa, was so her resources were just raped, pillaged, taken, overridden,
Continue
all these
to be,
things. Sorry?
continue to be pillaged
To
and
continue to, and I was feeling the heaviness of that, but then in the last couple of days, feeling the liberation of what's coming through this deeper pulse of mother awakening in those lands, and then having it confirmed by somebody who was also as sensitive as me. And it was just like, I have such deep hope for where we are going as a collective. I know it seems and looks absolutely shit crazy out there. But please just know, when we tap into this deeper resonance of truth, the real um picture of humanity is being birthed. Our real true remembrance of what it is to be human is being birthed. And all the things that are breaking down now are the things that are leaving. And to not necessarily avert your gaze from that, but to know that it's on a spectrum, that as much as on one hand it seems totally out of alignment, on the other hand, there are people and the planet and the cosmos that are holding the template for the new earth to come into form. And I've really felt that over the last 2 days, and I really want to instill that as a sense of knowing for the listeners, that yes, things are crumbling, the old world is dying, parts of our aspects of our identity have to die along with that. But underneath that, there is such radiant bliss.
blessed be. Here, here. Thank you for sharing that as well. And I'm sitting here in Lusaka, Zambia, in the heart of Africa in many ways, listening to your words and having goosebumps all over
Oh my love,
me.
of course it had to be today that we did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have really felt that shift in the energy over the past few days as well. And I've been, also realizing that it's not just about me, it's much bigger, it's the collective.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us are just kind of really feeling it in our bodies as well and
Yeah.
processing it for the collective as well.
Yeah.
So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing through that as well, that beautiful message of hope that, we are
Mm-hmm.
going in the right direction. In fact, we have already won.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're shaking in
Yeah.
their pants right now and trying to do all they can to
Yeah.
that.
Trying to do all these crazy things to like stop the process, but the process is in motion. It's like it cannot be stopped. And like you said, for the last few months, I've been processing things and thinking, what is this? And it has been this collective thing, and realizing that that's my role. as a keeper of wisdom and the earth's wisdom. Um, it is my role to be at the front run and transmute this through my body and vessel as a being, and to call the women forward that are here to do the same, and realizing that there are many of us in the field doing this, and we felt a bit wonky over the last few months, thinking, what
Say
is
that.
going on? But yeah, it's really been this deeper collective like purging that's been happening. And like it just popped over the last couple of days. And I was like, oh my God, yes, we are through the canal. We are through the canal and all is well.
Mm, blessed be. All is well. Thank you so much, Coco, for coming back onto the podcast and sharing your beauty and your wisdom with us again. I so appreciate you and all that you're becoming and all the work that you are sharing with us in the world. It's making such a huge difference. So thank you for stepping into your clarion call and into
Mm,
your power around this. Thank you.
thank you, Emma. It's been a pleasure.
Blessed be. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. Really appreciate all of you as well, and hope to connect with you again soon. Bye for now.